many hats, many impressive hats, come to think of it. By day, Ash serves as the Chief Marketing Officer at iWOW Technology Limited, the innovative company behind the Tracetogether token and other purpose-driven IoT solutions. Wow. Okay, but Ash's impact extends far beyond the corporate world. In his spare time, he is the Honorary Secretary of SPARK, a local charity supporting families with ADHD. Interesting. He also chairs a Good Space, Singapore's first cooperative bringing together change makers. Oh, we'd love to be a part of that, Ash. Of all his roles, however, the one Ash is most passionate about is being a parent. And it's from this deeply personal experience that he'll share some invaluable wisdom with us today. Please join me in welcoming Ash as he presents Lessons in Letting Go, Taught to Me by My Teens. Mr. Ash. Okay.
Thank you, Aaron, for the introduction. And Michelle, your title for me was better than the one I chose. You said that how to let go. Yeah. So, but before I begin, I want to just thank Irene and Tim for giving me this opportunity to share this story with everyone today. This is actually part 2 of a very amazing transformation story. My daughter Ava actually was invited last year to share her journey, and her journey involves a lot of struggle for a young teen. And through that sharing, today I have a chance to add to that picture and to share my own learnings, helping her through that experience. Okay. Ava spoke about the true cost of freedom. So I don't know if you can still remember how it felt to be a teenager, that desire to break free and to find your own. But in that experience, in that desire for freedom, she ended up in Singapore Girls' Home. Right. So, and through that, and later in the Grace Haven, which is a place of safety for girls. And I remember when she made the speech last year, listening to her share with such authenticity really was so heartwarming. Heartwarming to me because I could see that going through that struggle, she has grown stronger and wiser. So it's not something I would like to repeat. If I could, I would like to delete. But I know that that experience has really shaped who she is now, and I'm really thankful for this opportunity to share my piece of it to give the fuller picture. And of course, Tim and Irene, thank you again for being angels in Ava's life and helping her through the difficult time. Okay. So today I'm going to share some lessons I learned through this experience, and that lesson is what people say is the most important lesson that life gives us to learn, and that is to let go. And letting go is something that it's almost cliche. You hear it all over the internet, letting go and being zen, right? But it's so much harder than it is than saying it. Doing it is so much harder. So in my speech today, I tried to. There's so many things around it, but I'm just going to cover 3 points. Okay? Any more than 3, I will forget. So I'm just setting the expectation. Should I have much more? But I'm covering 3 points. Okay. So, but before I go into my 3 points or 3 lessons that I learned about letting go, for those of you who missed part 1, I'll give you a quick summary. Okay? So the first thing, that Ava is my child. She's my firstborn. She's my everything. And she's now 18 years old, that beautiful lady at the corner. And in she asked me to speed it up, okay, so I'll go fast. She's now doing her diploma in design in LaSalle. I'm so really proud of her. And I think that's where she was meant to be. She's a creative soul. And as Tim and Irene shared, she's an amazing artist. Okay. But she was diagnosed with ADHD when she was 6. And that led me down a very deep hole, learning all about ADHD. And I'm very proud, and not proud, I'm very privileged that my colleagues from SPARK is here today to support today's sharing. I promise her that today's talk is not going to cover ADHD, but if you're interested to know more about it, please come up to me and talk about it later. But really, I saw my daughter struggle. Things that were easy for most was very hard for her. And no matter how hard she tried, she kept failing to meet expectations that were on her. But most painful was she also kept failing to meet her own expectations. Right? So at that time when I first learned about ADHD, I remember how I was driven the mantra I had in my head all the time was I would go to the ends of the world if it could help her overcome the challenges that ADHD brought to her. So I think it's no understatement to say that I best described as an overparent. So very hands-on, both of us did a lot of crazy things to try to deal with distractibility and impulsivity. But I'm proud that at the end, the midpoint, which was PSLE, right? So at that time, as a young father, I was obsessed with education. I think that now in hindsight, may not have been the best strategy, but we managed to pull ourselves through PSLE and she managed to get into Express. So I thought my job was done. We overcame ADHD and that now it was smooth sailing, right? But what I didn't realize was that even though she got into a secondary school, that she was still struggling, right? And when I stepped back, not realizing that she was still struggling, her impulse for freedom coupled with her struggle in school led her to the wrong crowd. And one thing led to another, and soon, before we realized it, she was in a very deep and dark hole. Then I remember feeling very helpless, because as a father, I think one of the most primal things that we want to do is to protect people. And at that point, I found it was just helpless. The more I tried to protect, the more she would rebel, and the worse things became. And so it was a really dark, helpless time. So finally, out of desperation, and we did not make this decision lightly, we ended up having to put her into protective custody. So we applied for something known as Beyond Parental Control, or now it's known as FGO, Family Guidance Order. At that point, I remember asking myself, because it was a really difficult decision to make as a family, and Eva and I were very close. The question I had was I prepared that she would never talk to me again? So that was the measure of whether I was ready to do this. So after that point, that was a price I decided I was willing to make. So that was the degree of, that was my litmus test. So we applied, and then Eva was put away in girls' home for 2 months, and then subsequently in Grace Haven for almost 2 years. But if you want to know more of that story, you have to listen to the talk. So that's the end of what I'm going to say about that. But what I really want to say in this summary is that it was the most important part, and that's the part that Tim and I really played. So during the time that Eva was in Grace Haven, she could go out every day, only if she had a job. So I knew her and the free spirit that she is. I knew that if she couldn't go out, it would be really torturous. And I was so happy when Tim and Irene offered to take Eva in as an intern. So not only was Eva able to go out every day from the place of safety, which I thought was important for her sanity, but she got a chance to learn this really precious skill called visual recording. And I know some of you here have been blessed with Tim's and Irene's visual sketchnoting program. But she also got a chance to be mentored by 2 really amazing souls. One creative, one really gets things done. So it's a nice balance. So I couldn't ask for more, and I think today Eva is who she is because of that opportunity. Okay, so now lessons in letting go. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say that letting go is so easy to say, so hard to do. So I'm going to share 3 points. I'm also trying to learn this as I'm sharing. The first point, to help me explain this, I'd like to invite all of you to close your eyes and follow the instruction that I'm about to give. Okay? And you can open your eyes once you get the instruction done. Okay? All closed. Ready? I want you to not think of a pink elephant. If you're not thinking of a pink elephant, you can open your eyes. It's taking a little bit longer than I expected. I think some of you are still struggling to not think of a pink elephant. Okay, who saw a pink elephant?
You intend to wear pink, right?
So, ma'am, I think it's okay.
Enjoy my
Pink elephant. So I think this is a cliche exercise, right? It's been done millions of times, and every time you will think of pink elephant.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making here is that the mind, it's hard to outthink the mind. Okay? So when I say don't think of pink elephant, the mind instinctively will think of pink elephant, right? So imagine if that statement is don't think that you're stupid. You will think you're stupid first, right? Even if you later on try to sugarcoat it and say something else, the mind already has made that connection, that relationship, okay? And the harm is already done. Okay? And even if you phrase it, if you think you can outsmart your mind and then phrase it as you are enough, right? A positive slant to it, the mind is smarter than you realize. It makes the connection without you realizing that you're only saying this because you are worried that you're not enough. So this is how sharp and how quick the mind is. And the opposite connection can just be made as quickly as the forward connection, right? So can you imagine that if you tell yourself, let go, don't hold on. The more you tell yourself that, the more you say it, the deeper you get mired into that loop, right? And the more tight the mind grips you, and the harder it is to let go. So the first lesson I learned was, don't overthink this. Trying is not going to make it's not going to help. Okay? So let me first clarify, right? Ruminating and thinking of the problem works when you're dealing with outside problems. If I have a problem at work, I need to sit down and think how to solve the problem, right? Solving outside problems, that's how our mind works well. But inside problem, which is letting go is not an outside issue, it's an inside thing. Thinking it like that will only get you locked. You know what I'm talking about, this experience, that the more you try to tell yourself let go, the more you tell yourself that you should be chill, the deeper you get mired into that. So what I found helpful is something I learned through my mindfulness practice, and that is labeling the thought. So what I found helpful in breaking that loop is to label the thought. Okay? But when you label the thought, and for those of you who have experienced this, when you can label something, you loosen the grip it has on you. Okay? Only if your label is accurate. So what I also discovered was that there are labels, and then there are four labels. There are labels with loaded labels with judgment. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I'm feeling sad. If I express it, I'm feeling sad. After a while, I will relax. But if I say things like, I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling betrayed, the more I say, I'm feeling betrayed, I'm feeling disappointed, that is a loaded label. Yeah? And then your mind ruminates even more. So what I found is really labeling helps to break that grip, but you need to be very careful with the choice of the labels. You have to find the label that is most authentic, most accurate, most factual, and least loaded with a story. If I may just digress a bit about stories, like those who know me well know that I'm really deep into this Yuval Harari's view about man being the only animal that can use stories to motivate us. So our minds are story machines, and everything that we experience in life gets processed in our mind as a story, where we are the main actor. Main actor as a victim or as a hero, very rarely as the villain. Yeah, but that's how our mind experience life, and then it replays in our heads. But just be aware that when you have a story into your label, that label becomes loaded, and then you create a lot of power that will grip you. Right? So the key is recognizing that these are the stories, that the drama that's running in the script that's happening behind. And if you want to break from it, label it with facts. Just a factual label and move and detach it from the story, the loaded story. Another example I want to make about this point, which is very important, that the more we try, the harder we get mired. Right? This is from a book I read around a system called ACT, Acceptance Commitment Therapy. So the author there explained that it's like quicksand. When you're stuck in quicksand, I've never been stuck in quicksand myself, but I've seen enough. When I was growing up, a lot of shows had people stuck in quicksand. I don't know how common quicksand is in America and Canada, but yeah, we see it all the time. So the thing with quicksand is that when you're stuck in it, the more you struggle, the faster you get, the deeper you get sucked in. So what apparently is the way to get out of quicksand is to stop fighting the quicksand and then spreading yourself out as wide a surface area as you can, so that you can float. And that is the way you should get out of quicksand. So in the same analogy goes to letting go. The more you try, the deeper you get stuck. It's about letting go, and then that is how you get it. Okay, so that's the first lesson, that you cannot really outsmart your mind. And labeling accurately helps you to break that grip. The second lesson I want to share is even more counterintuitive. Okay? I made this statement, and I know I've shared this view to my family many times, and my children have told me that, Daddy, please don't say this out loud. It's politically not correct. Yeah. But I really believe this, right? So the second lesson is, it goes against mainstream content on mental health. And essentially it says that pain is not here to break you. Pain, most of what you hear about pain and suffering is that it's bad. It needs to be avoided, right? But actually pain has a purpose. Pain and suffering is the catalyst for growth. And when you, the journey that me and Eva had to go through, where Eva is now, and I think even Michelle, where she is now, came not from a smooth ride. We came through overcoming pain, overcoming struggles, right? So what helps let go is to reframe that view of pain. Pain is not here to break you. Pain is here to break you open, so that what's inside comes through, right? And what's waiting for you to receive has the opportunity to go in. So pain is actually a catalyst. So that's the second key lesson I learned, that it's about reframing what pain is. And the last lesson is, here you can share the screen, is best summed up by my favorite poet. Who likes Khalil Gibran?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right. So I've this poet has given me so much solace, so much comfort through the journey, and it touches the third lesson. So allow me to read it with you. So this is a poem from the book of the Prophet. It says, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but you cannot give them your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but you cannot house their soul. For their soul dwells in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams." This is really powerful to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I parent from my experience, from my own conditioning, but theirs is a future that I cannot imagine. And this, you may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. I think we always do the reverse. We want to make them like us. For life goes not backwards, but tarries with yesterday. They are bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. For the archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. I think this is a very beautiful analogy where they are arrows and I'm just a bow. And the stress and the pressure that life places on the parent is so that we can give them as much momentum as possible. So let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even he, as he loves the arrow that flies, he also loves the bow that is stable. So this is the third lesson I learned, that our children are not our children. They are arrows and they have their own path to fly. Yeah. If I don't let them go, they will never achieve their potential. So thank you for listening. Life is a journey with very few certainties, except for birth and death. And it's my personal belief that this is a journey, that this journey we call life is a journey for us to learn to love. And for those of us lucky, you will be able to experience unconditional love. And those of us who are even luckier will have the experience of giving unconditional love. And just as importantly, whether we like it or not, we will need to learn to let go. Because at the end of that journey, and when death comes for us, whether you like it or not, you have to let go. And those that you leave behind will have to move on in their lives, and they have to let go too.
Yeah.
But I hope letting go is not just something that we have to do because it's inevitable. Letting go is more about acceptance, about embracing, about giving space for our children to discover who they are. So in summary, to let go, remember the pink elephant, that we cannot outsmart our mind, but we can loosen its grip. Number two, that pain is not here to break us. They are here to break us open and for us to, it's a catalyst for us to grow. And the last point is that our children are actually arrows, and they have their own journey. And only when we let go can they discover their potential. If I leave you with a last analogy, right? So imagine that you are holding on to your child or whatever you're holding on to. You cannot be moving it. So Ava, the name actually means little bird. And many times in my trying to visualize our relationship, I see her as this precious bird, and which I want to protect, I want to keep safe in a cage. But she's not meant to be in a cage. She's meant to fly, and and I'm thankful that of all the angels in her life, that she has reached the point where she's more grounded. And where she goes next is I'm waiting to be inspired. So thank you everyone for your attention.
If you're comfortable,
Yeah, we'd like to invite Eva to come on up. I think everyone at home wants to meet Eva as well. Yeah. Let's give Eva a nice warm welcome, please.
Wow. Thank you.
Good.